No, I do not remember.
Okay. Well, I can help you today. I love it.
Okay, let's see what we got for.
No, I've got other than that, connected to your mind.
Does it say?
A lot bigger than that.
They're not even looking or anything. I mean,
You don't have one? Surely not. Surely you do.
A lightning of that.
oh, I didn't even notice that there were chairs.
Oh, hey, Jesse.
There are all these papers. Oh, so you do.
You already heard.
Just trying to get connected to.
That's the one I'm gonna do first. Then we can have full
I would think after 6 is dirty. But, I mean, I know yeah, to get on that. When we first started, but now it looks like every year that we've been, we just came back out. Just something clever. And that's all. Oh, okay. I never used that. We're doing everything.
I just decided. Okay. Hey, do you have one of those?
And I just want to sit at the table. Yes.
Office, I didn't think about it.
No, let's see what.
If you have a radio, I'll give you my number. Do you give me your number? Ours is cute little Facebook. Oh, I find the best thing.
Oh, there's one out there.
Your face was
I don't know, I guess some people don't have it.
You're not gonna be on the video. 7839. So yeah, you can just text me or bring me
I mean, now I have to wait.
I know, I'm like trying to. I think that's Melissa. I can't remember in here.
after this interview. So I just, yeah, but now I just got
So like no sandals, flip-flops.
Hey guys, good morning, good morning. Come on in. Let me know if you need a seat spot. I see, you guys on the back table. Make sure we're only got 2 at a table now. Thank you, thank you. Fourth grade. Thank you all for being here this morning, and I know this has been kind of crazy as far as the changes that we've made to the schedule, but as always, you all are adapting very, very well. Thank you very much for remaining flexible. First distinction is life skill flexibility. Today, again, we'll have 2 sessions. This morning session, it won't be live. Great to have Reverend Lewis here with us this morning to lead us through our training. At about, Reverend Lewis said to be about 10:15, 10 o'clock, 10:15, the training we will be as a faculty following that, okay? Just very briefly, just some things to go over. And then I think Mr. Farrell and the PBIS team are meeting this morning, 10:30. 10:30. Mr. Farrell, meeting at 10:30. If you're not with that group, then of course you can go back to your classroom and work in your classroom and prepare for this new hybrid schedule, okay? I encourage you to talk with your team. Socially distancing, of course. Talk with your team, brainstorm some ideas of how you handle it. We'll talk a little bit more about that after the training session this morning. But you all are the experts. You're going to find the best way, okay? Maybe not immediately, but as we evolve, you're going to find the best way to work through the different schedules that we have this year, okay? This afternoon, it will be more of that. We want you to prepare. Students come in on the hybrid schedule tomorrow. We want you to be ready. We want you to hit the ground running tomorrow. Okay? And then, of course, at 2:30, you have the training, the ethics training, Tennessee Professional Educator Ethics Training that was pushed out on Google Classroom last night. I hope you've already done it, okay? Because if you have, 2:30, you're free to go, okay? Without further ado, we're going to get rolling with our training this morning. And I want to introduce you to Amanda Vance. She is our new K-5 supervisor and director of communication with Blount County Schools. Ms. Vance.
Thank you, Dr. Robinette. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? I almost didn't get let in today. They said I looked a little shady. But she did let me in, and I'm thrilled and honored to be here because I have the opportunity to introduce to you Mr. Reverend Lewis, who will be presenting to us today, providing diversity training and talking about understanding our unconscious biases. So without further ado, Dr. Lewis.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I'm Reverend Ben Lewis, and again, the diversity trainer, professional development leader for Blount County Schools, Merrill City Schools, Alcorn City Schools, and a bunch of other folks. This is a crazy time. So I just want to get that out of the way right up front, because I'm not used to not being able to touch folks. I'm a hugger. I'm a Baptist pastor. So I don't really need to say much more past that for you to know how tough this is for me. I understand we have to do it, but I'm an admirer. I'm also a long-time staff chaplain at UT Medical Center. And tough job, tough ministry. But I'll tell you, I would not trade what I do for your job. Okay? I've got grandbabies that are first and second graders and Ks and 20, 25, 30, 6 and 7-year-olds, all I can say is, Lord have mercy. That's all I can say. But we're gonna get started, and we're gonna talk about two things this morning: understand our unconscious biases and inclusive leadership. And but before we get started, on your desk there's a piece of paper. Nobody opened it yet, right? Don't open it. And what I want you to do, and I say don't open it, I say that 3 or 4 times, because I've worked with all Alva City school teachers, all Maryland, most of your school teachers and administrators. And as soon as I say don't open it and I turn my back, what do teachers do? They open it. They peek at it. So don't open it. Everybody has a pen or pencil. If you would, that first column there, the one you can see, I want you to go down that column, and I want you to write the first name or initials of the 10 people that you trust the most, and not family. Not family members. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you. The first name or initials of the 10 people that you trust the most. The ones you trust the most, so high level, okay? The 10 people you trust the most. First name or initials, and they can't be relatives. They can't be kinfolk, okay? So that makes it harder. 10 people that you trust the most. First name or initials, and nobody's going to see this but you. So I'm not going to see it. It's going to be yours to keep when we finish. So if the person is sitting at your desk, your BFF, if they think that they're one of your most trusted people, and they're actually not, they won't get to see it. They won't know it from this, okay? So I want us to be forthcoming. The 10 people that you trust the most and not family members. Now I'll give you a few minutes to do that.
Are you okay with holding
Yeah. Will that help? 10 people you trust the most and not family members. You can put first name or initials. And again, no one's going to see this but you. Is everyone about done? Give you a couple more minutes. Sometimes we have to think about that for a minute. Trust is a big thing, so it's never something that we take lightly. We don't give trust away lightly, so sometimes we have to stop and think. 10 people you trust the most and not family members. First name or initials. Give you another minute. And now we're going to do some coding. You can open it up now. Yeah, that first column beside their gender, I want you to go down the column. M if it's male, F if it's a female. Just write down the column. M for male, F for female. Right beside their names. In that next column, race, ethnicity. W for white, AF, African American, A for Asian, I for Indian, L for Latino, AFR for African, race or ethnicity in that column. In the next column, I want you to put their age. If you don't know it exactly, just ballpark. Mid-20s, late 50s. Get as close as you can. In the next column, if you know sexual orientation, H for heterosexual, G for gay, if you know. Again, when we get to that subject, it gets a little touchy. So, again, no one's going to see this but you. Now, I want you to go down the column where education is the head. H, if they have a high school education. B, if they have a bachelor's. M for master's. D for doctorate. If they've got a PhD, put that. Physical challenges, yes or no? If they have physical challenges, if they have some kind of physical challenge, whatever that might be, yes or no? Next one's married or single, M or S. In the final column, other, if you have, if your friends, if there's a particular thing that many of them are, say if they're all Baptists, or if they're all tennis players, if they're all librarians, or if they're all in a book club, or if they're all Lady Vols fans, or the majority of them, if they're all Blount County High School football fans. That was a joke. Everybody better put that on. Or if they're all ladies basketball fans, for example. Most of your friends are women's basketball fans or tennis fans, or have something that kind of identifies most of your top 10, then put that. Okay, now let's talk about it. So, gender. How many of you have your top 10 most trusted people, all one gender? Raise your hand. Raise them up. Okay. So, not quite half. So, let me take a guess. They're women. Is that right? Any of you that raised your hand, your 10 most trusted people are men? Say, Reverend Lewis, you didn't ask that question, did you? Okay. Okay, and this is how we make decisions. And what we don't do is we don't go and say, as we live our lives, I'm looking for somebody to trust. So you look like somebody I can trust, so you're going to be one of my most trusted people. We don't do that. We generally choose the people that we're going to trust outside of our awareness. We're not thinking about, okay, people with green blouses are trustworthy, so I'm going to trust her. We don't think about it that way. Rarely is it even a conscious decision. Okay? The people that we trust the most, we gravitate towards them. First of all, okay, we got to get close to them, in a relationship with them of some kind. And then immediately we start making decisions about whether this person is trustworthy or not. So we move a little closer, and we move a little closer, but rarely is it a conscious decision. So the ladies that raise your hand, your 10 most trusted people are women. Okay, that's not an accident. Okay, and everybody else, men and women, right? Everyone else. Okay, these are not accidents. Race and ethnicity, 10 most trusted people. So I'm gonna take a guess. How many people, your 10 most trusted people, are white? Raise your hand. Raise them up high. So, more than half. Okay. So how many people, your 10 most trusted people, one other ethnicity? Raise your hand. One other. Okay. What is that? What's the other?
African-American.
African-American?
Latino.
Latino? African-American? Yes, ma'am. Middle Eastern. Okay. Good, good. And again, we do this out of our awareness. Most of the time, rarely are our 10 most trusted people not going to be the same ethnicity as we are. Again, we don't do it consciously. It's unconscious. Okay? People that we're going to trust. People we're going to give our hearts to. People we're going to tell our innermost secrets. Okay? Rarely is it a conscious decision. Age range. So how many people have your 10 are all about the same generation? Okay. Ma'am, what generation? What age range?
50s and 60s?
50s and 60s.
50s maybe.
50s. So they would be Gen X's, I guess. 50s. So all of your, okay, so what are you, 30s?
Yeah. Why do you say it like that? Like it's a joke.
No, I'm serious. So you got all your top 10 are in their 50s and 60s?
Well, some 40s.
Some 40s. Okay, so your top 10 are not in the same generation as you are. Or are they?
They're the same generation. I'm 50.
Oh, man, that's good.
I
Yeah. Be proud of that.
Recording.
Be proud of that. I'm not 50, but I'm proud of it. So the majority of your top 10 are the same age range as you. Raise your hand. Somebody else. All in your same age range. Okay. Yours too. Okay. Who else? Okay. Why do you think that is, ma'am?
I have more in common with them.
Have more in common, right? So those 10 people, did you just go, okay, well, we're in the same age range, I'm gonna trust you? You didn't do that, did you? We don't do it that way. Sir, same generation, right? So did you just say, yeah, well, same age range as me, I'm gonna trust you?
No.
You didn't do that. We do it without even being aware of it, okay? We do it, it's totally outside of our awareness. And we'll be talking about that in a minute, but that's how we make a lot of important decisions. That's what that word up there, unconscious biases, that's what that is. And if we're a leader of anybody, we need to be aware of that. Because we're making decisions all day, every day, important decisions. Okay, if we're first grade teachers, for example, a first grade teacher, or any teacher, spends more time, and I'll talk a little more about this later, spend more time with the children than their parents do, right? You get them when they're fresh and awake for the most part, and energetic and ready to go, okay? And you've got them from 8 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And you have their attention, kind of like I have you all. You have their attention. That's 5 days a week. When they get out of school, when they hop in the car with mom or dad, They don't want to hear it. No, Dad, just, can I get my tablet? Okay, I want to go and play video game. Take me to soccer practice. Okay, I want to watch TV. I want to go play. I got to go to music. And then after music, it's soccer. Okay, then after that, it's video game. It's spending time on the phone or the tablet. It's watching TV. Okay, really not super interested in talking to mom or dad about what your day was like. I don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. So you all get to spend more quality time with children than their parents did, right? So, and you're making decisions all day, every day. You're shaping these children's lives. You all are. All day, every day. So when we're doing that, when we have that awesome responsibility, and it is awesome, okay, the judges, the law enforcement officers, the doctors, the nurses, the teachers, a lot of them are going to be who they're going to become because of you all. Something you said, something you did, something that you encouraged them to do or to be or at least to think about is going to cause them to be who they are. So, sexual orientation. How many have all one sexual orientation? All the same, raise your hands. Okay. So is that everybody? Not everybody. Okay. 99%. Again, it's not an accident. Education. How many have all one educational level? So, what do you have?
Oh, EDS.
EDS. And your top 10 have what?
Masters or EDS.
Higher education degrees. So is that an accident? Anybody? You think that's an accident? It's not. It's not an accident. Right. How many? All one education level. Who else raised their hand? Just one. Okay. What are yours?
High school, master's, bachelor's, EDS, and an associate's degree.
So everything. And what level of education do you have?
Bachelor's.
Bachelor's, okay. So pretty varied, pretty diverse. Okay, ma'am, what level? Yes, ma'am.
Mainly college and a couple high school because all of mine are teachers.
Okay, so bachelor's in high school, all in that age. Somebody, ma'am, your top 10, what education level? I'll take you, but I was talking to her. Yes, ma'am. Either one of them, yeah.
Mine are bachelor and high school.
Bachelor in high school, and your level is? Master's, okay, okay. Anybody, so now you, ma'am?
Bachelor's and master's.
Okay. How many people don't have any high school educated people on your list? Raise your hand. None, they just have a high school education. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. It's not an accident. It's not bad. It's not negative. It's not good. It just is. It's how we choose the people that we're going to trust the most. Unconsciously, out of our awareness. Physical challenges. Anybody have on your top 10 somebody with physical challenges of any kind? Yes, ma'am. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Again, out of our awareness, we're making decisions, some of the most important decisions of our lives. You all are like me in the sense that I don't give away trust easily. It's not something that we just go, okay, well, you know, we both got hired at Blount County Schools today, work in the same place, now I trust you. Doesn't work like that, does it? It takes time, it takes trial, and it takes error. Is that right? Before we start giving people our hearts, before we build the kind of relationship where we're telling our innermost secrets. That's trial and error. It doesn't just happen automatically. So marital status. How many people have all the same marital status, either married or single? Okay, raise your hands up high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, ma'am, all married or all single?
All married.
You married?
Yes.
Okay, I knew that. Okay, who else? Raise your hands. All married, all single? You married?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I knew that. Yes, ma'am. All married, all single?
All married.
You married? I'm batting 1,000. Raise your hands. Who else did? Yes, ma'am. You, ma'am? All married? Let me guess. You're married. Okay. I'm awesome. Raise your hand. Who else? All married, all single? Yes, ma'am. All married? You're married. Okay. Sir?
All married.
And you're married. Okay. Okay. So everybody that raised their hand, top 10 people that you trust the most, all are married, and you're married too. None of the folks that were married, anybody here that's married and chose a single person as one of your top 10? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay. How many single people, ma'am?
Willis.
Ma'am? One. Who else raised your hand? Ma'am? How many single people?
3.
3 out of 10.
Just 1.
1 out of 10. Yes, ma'am. 2 out of 10. Okay. Okay. Not an accident, folks. This is how we're making decisions every day. And this is kind of what I want you to think about. You're also making these kind of decisions with your children, with the children you teach. Make sure I got this. So, what are unconscious biases? What are they? And why should you even care? Well, unconscious biases, or they're sometimes called implicit biases, are preconceived ideas and understandings of people and cultures, both different from our own and like our own. So we have unconscious biases, and I just gave you some examples of people who are like us, but we also have those same unconscious biases, which are different than conscious. Conscious, we're aware of. We know we don't like X, Y, Z. These are unconscious, where we're, again, making decisions about people, preconceived ideas, which means these are people, cultures, we don't even know the people. But we have preconceived ideas and understandings about people and cultures, both similar and different from our own. These biases are outside of our awareness, and they guide almost every decision we make as leaders. I want you to think about that. So, all day, every day, and every teacher is a leader. I said a few minutes ago that you all spend more quality time with children than their parents do, okay? And that's just a fact. Again, when children get out of school, they don't want to do the dad talk. Yeah, right, just, Dad, I'm playing, what's the video game? Fortnite? What else? What other video game? Minecraft. Mom, listen, just not right now, okay? I'm getting ready to win, okay? Right, they want to eat dinner, they got to take a shower, they have to get homework. Most of them have some kind of extracurricular activity, whether it's sports or music or whatever it is. So you give them undivided attention. I'm saying if you're getting 30 minutes after school, that's good. Might not even be that much. But you all, teachers, almost every decision you make as leaders is outside of your awareness. You make decisions based on people's religion, okay? And you're doing it without being aware of it. You make a decision based on folks' level of education. Again, it's not an accident that a lot of you all, your 10 most trusted people, have about the same level of education you do. So if a person doesn't have a high school diploma, oftentimes we're making decisions about that person and we don't even realize we're doing it. Okay? We don't realize we're doing it. We make decisions about people based on their seniority or their generation. Okay? We might make a decision, an assessment of a person who's a member of the silent generation, which is anybody over the age of 7. Okay? We might make a decision, and we do make decisions about people, assessments about people, if they're from that silent generation, or if they're the baby boomer, my generation, if they're over 60. We make decisions about people based on whether or not they have gray hair or their age range. We make decisions about people based on if they're a Gen Z or Gen X. And say, if you're my generation, when I was growing up, my dad, who was a pastor too, I got to be, say, 18, 20 years old, he would say things like, and he was joking, but he was serious. Oh, 20 years old? Boy, you don't know nothing. You're still wet behind ears. You don't know a thing. 20 years old, he said, the things you don't know is bigger than the Manhattan phone book. Okay, we don't use telephone books nowadays, so this is a while ago. So we make decisions based on people's age range, and we're not aware. We make decisions based on folks' income range, don't we? Let me give you an example of how we might do that. So you've got duty out front in the pull-up lane, okay? So do you all take turns doing that? Everybody has to take a turn where you go out and greet the children and make sure they get out of their car safely. So somebody pulls up, like a fair number of people in the community where we live, and they might be driving a Suburban, okay? Big, long Suburban, okay? Looks good. They don't give those away, okay? They cost a good amount of money. Somebody in here might be driving one, who knows? But somebody pulls up, they let their child out. He's got a backpack that costs $200. You can just look at it and tell. He's got tennis shoes, and every day you see him, he's got on clothes, tennis shoes, shorts, shirts that didn't come from Walmart or wherever, okay? And then somebody pulls up, so without thinking about it, we're often going to treat this child and their parents a certain way. Just think about it. You know, you don't have to say, yeah, you're right, Reverend Lewis. Just think about it. And when the parent talks to you, if you get the sense, and it's pretty easy to do, especially for you all, that the person is highly educated or highly successful in a, when I say successful, I mean in a career sense, okay? Because a person can make a whole lot of money but not really be successful, okay? So you have a conversation with them, you get the sense the person's fairly successful, or they might even tell you they are, okay? So you're going to treat this person and their child one way without thinking about it. Okay, the next person in line, the car's barely making it up to the front door. It's smoking, it stops, it's sputtering, the child gets out. They may or may not have eaten breakfast that morning, okay? Maybe they did, maybe they not. They didn't. Okay, they look like they might be struggling financially. Parents, hit the door, go ahead and hop out. Don't even look back to say bye. We're going to treat that parent a certain way, even though we don't know a thing about it, okay? We're making decisions based on that 5-minute interaction in the morning, out of our awareness. We're not going, okay, well, I see you and I see this, so I'm going to treat you this way. We don't do that. We're not the kind of people that do that. But our brains are taking in information. Okay, and unconscious biases begin from our earliest ancestors. where they had to see something, make a decision. This big thing here that's growling, this dinosaur, either I'm going to eat it or it's going to eat me. Okay, so we had to learn how to make a decision, split-second decisions, in order to survive. Well, we still do that, okay? And sometimes that's good. Sometimes those unconscious biases, you know, they teach us, okay, well, it's dark down there. I better not walk that way. It's not cool, okay? And sometimes they're good decisions. They keep us safe, that allow us to be successful. Sometimes those decisions cause us to make decisions about people that maybe we shouldn't make. So we make decisions about people based on their marital status. We had a number of people who were married, and all of their 10 most trusted people are also married. We make decisions about people based on gender. So when I talk about unconscious bias, most people think, okay, well, Reverend Lewis is going to talk about race. I am. But if you look at every one of these, okay, if we are, our unconscious biases affect marital status, gender, upbringing, education, religion, age, income, sexual orientation, all of those, every single one of them. So why should you care? So you're here, school's going on, you got a million things to do. Why should you even care about unconscious bias? Because all teachers are lifelong learners. That's the first thing, okay? So you don't go into the teaching profession because you want to get rich. How many people, when you were in college, said, you know, I want to be a teacher so I can make a whole lot of money and retire at 35? Raise your hand. Yeah, I want to retire financially well off and early, so I'm going to be a teacher. Dr. Robinette, did you? he can't even say that. Reverend Lewis, right. So, and how do I know that? Okay? I'm a pastor. You go into teaching because you were called. Okay? It's a noble profession. You don't go in to get rich. So this is why you should care, because all teachers are lifelong learners. You have to have a love of learning in order to be a teacher, right? You should care because you spend many years and thousands of dollars on your education. Okay? So, ballpark. How much for a master's degree? Ballpark, anybody? 10,000? Okay, if you got a ED, a doctorate, anything over master's, how much? Ballpark. 10 more thousand. Okay, so that's about 20. How much if you go to UT? How many people went to UT? University of Tennessee. Okay, 4-year bachelor's, ballpark. How much money?
Now?
About 60.
I'm boarding the house right now. Right now it's about 60,000. Is that
That's
right?
without dorm now.
Okay, ballpark. So 20, 60, that's 80,000. Okay, PhD, anybody? How much?
There you go. It could be, 20,000 to 60,000.
Okay. So you spend a whole lot of money and a lot of years to get to be a teacher, don't you? A lot of studying. Think about it. You are the people that teach the people in the world. No matter what their career is, they got to come by you, don't they? Have it. If they're going to be successful, you had your hand on it. You shaped it. You poured into it. No matter what they do, they got to come by you. They got to get what you have for them. So that's why you should care. Many years, thousands of dollars on your education. You come to the classroom early, you leave late, and you take the classroom home with you, don't you? So how many of y'all, what time's the bell ring in the evening? 3 o'clock? Okay, so how many of you, when that bell rings, you just drop your stuff and walk right out of the room? Okay, that's it. And you don't think about teaching till the next morning. How many of y'all do that? I know y'all. How many of you are driving home thinking about school? Raise your hand. Yeah. Everything you do, in the evening, on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you're thinking about school. You have to be, because it's in your heart. That's why you should care. You have to deal with numerous different personalities and cultures daily, okay? You've got 20, 25, 30, maybe not that many now, but normally children in your classroom every day, and every single one of those children are different, okay? They're not the same, not a single one of them. They're all different. That's why you should care. Different personalities, different cultures every day. That's why you should care about unconscious biases. You have to deal with parents' expectations and demands, don't you? You know, how many of you all, well, you don't have to raise your hand, have parents who thinks Johnny is an A+ student, the smartest kid in the class, and he's really not. Okay? But parents always think they are, don't they? They always think the children are A students, don't they? Okay? And when those two realities meet, who the student really is and who their parents think they are, you all have to deal with that, don't you? They're wondering why the child got a C when they know that child is an A student, is an honor roll student. You have to deal with that parent every day. Because teachers have the awesome responsibility of shaping and molding our youth for their futures and ours. Because the children you're teaching are going to be the leaders in our community one day. They're going to be our leaders, right? So you have that responsibility to shape their futures. You don't do it for the money. We've already established that you do it because you're called. Do you remember your favorite teacher and the impact they had on your life? How many people, raise your hand if you remember your favorite teacher? Okay. And you remember the impact they had on your life. They had an impact on your life. You know how I know? Because you're here. There was something about what they did that was meaningful to you. So meaningful that you decided to devote your whole life to it. Okay? So, will your students remember you? Will they remember? You all have first graders. Do you think that when they get to the fifth grade, that they'll remember? When they see you in Walmart, they'll run up and say, "Oh, there's my teacher," and hug you. Will they remember? Will they say, some of the students, "I want to be a teacher because my teacher, Miss fill in the blanks, she just made me feel like I could be anything I wanted to be." And that just some kind of way touched me, and it shaped everything I've done since then. Because that's how she made me feel. That's how she made me feel. Okay, I wasn't too sure. As a first grader's not too sure about a whole lot of things, right? Still being shaped and formed and formulated. But you all have the capacity to make them feel like they can be anybody and do anything they want to do. That they can do things that they don't even think they can do. You all have the ability to do that. That's why you should care. Will your students remember you? That's why we should be concerned about our unconscious biases and how we make decisions. Man, am I kind of standing blocking the screen from you? Not okay. And lastly, because every leader in the year 2020 needs to lead conversations around bias and racial equity. So, in this year, in this time, in our country, in the world, if we're not talking about, at some point, if we're not talking about race and diversity and racial equity, if at some point we're not having those kind of conversations, then we'd be about the only people in the world that are not having. Because you can't turn on the TV, you can't pick up. How many of y'all read paper newspaper now? Raise your hand. I was getting ready to say pick up the newspaper. That just kind of, if you didn't see me, give you an idea how old I am, okay? Because people don't hardly read the newspaper. You can't, however you read your news, you can't read it in August of 2020 without seeing an article about race. The top-selling 4 or 5 books right now are probably going to be about race and racial equity, some kind of way. The culture in our community, in our world, has changed. It's not going to change, it's already changed. And as leaders, as teachers, as the ones who have these young minds and hearts and careers in your hands, you want to be able to lead those kind of conversations. Okay, I'm a pastor. I'm a chaplain at the hospital, but I also pastor the Baptist Church on Hall Road, Bethel Baptist Church. If you go to Knoxville, you go that way, you pass by big old stones that sit in the yard there. So if there's something that needs to be taught, leadership needs to be provided as a pastor. That's my responsibility to kind of do that as pastor. At UT Medical Center, when there is every day, nobody comes there because they want to. Everybody comes, when they come to UT, they come because it's a crisis in their life. So I don't go and wait for them to provide some space for me to care for them. That's my role. So when students come to school, it's the teachers, the principals, administrators, the educators, the leaders' responsibility to provide space to talk about and learn the things that they need to learn, talk about. Make sense? Even if it's a tough subject, and talking about race and racial equality, that's tough stuff. Okay? Those are tough subjects. Those are uncomfortable subjects. They're uncomfortable for everybody. They're uncomfortable for me as a black man. They're uncomfortable for you as white men. Those are uncomfortable subjects. Okay? But there are things that we need to talk about. Again, because you're taking children, you're raising them up, you're shaping them, you're pouring into them, you're teaching them how to be productive, awesome, responsible people, leaders in the world. We're raising them up, and before you know it, these first graders will be this high, won't they? You look up one day and they'll be in the 5th grade, and you go, oh my goodness, that boy is in the 5th grade, he's tall as I am. Okay? You raise them up, before you know it, they'll be at William Blount, or they'll be at Heritage, or they'll be at Maryville, or Alco, wherever they're going to go. Next thing you know, you'll see them, they'll be the manager in a store. Okay, they'll be an attorney uptown somewhere. They'll be at UT, or Pellissippi, or Austin P, or one of, MTSU. They'll be at school. You'll see their name in the paper. You go, wow, she was one of mine. Look at her. Look at what she's doing. And you'll know, because you have it. Okay, so every leader needs to have that conversation. We do our children a disservice if we raise them up and we don't give them what they need to go out in the world and be successful. And if we don't talk about race and racial equity and what's happened in our country, the part of the history that we don't teach, okay? The history that we don't teach in school, the real history of our country. The good stuff about whoever, just name some of our heroes. The good stuff and the stuff that we didn't put in they didn't put in history books, okay? Christopher Columbus, we know that he sailed the seas and blah, blah, blah. He had this, that, and that. Yeah, we learned that. But there are some things about Christopher Columbus that were not in the history books, right? And you take many of our heroes, and I'm talking age appropriate, we're talking about first graders now, so there's some conversations we just wouldn't have with first graders because they're not ready for it. But they're smarter than, well, you know. Okay, sometimes I've got first graders, grandchildren, and some of the questions in second graders, some of the things that they ask me, I'm thinking, wow. And when they had, we had a lot of homeschooling and that kind of thing, distance learning, virtual learning, I guess is what they call it now. And now there was times when I've had the opportunity to kind of work with one of my grandchildren. I'm going, what kind of work is this for a first grade? Yeah, I was probably like in junior high school when I started learning this kind of stuff. And, you know, y'all are teaching them things that, yeah, I was like 13. But yeah, so they are ready for more than we think they are. But it needs to be age appropriate. But we don't prepare them for the world, to go out in the world, to function in the world, be intelligent people, to understand what our country has been and where we can possibly go if we work together. So every leader needs to be having those kind of conversations. Another reason we should care about our unconscious biases, because if we can't reach it, we can't teach it. Kids don't learn from people that they don't like. Does that make sense? Yeah, if they don't like you, okay, you're going to have to struggle with it. And your only goal is to pour education and knowledge and help shape these little folks. That's your goal. That's your role. That's why you chose this career. Okay? But if we can't reach them, we can't teach them. So if we have an unconscious bias, and again, this unconscious means we're aware of it. If there's something that's causing a block, a divide between me and Johnny, don't I need to know that? If I'm treating him a little different because there's something about him and I'm not even aware of it, but 6, 7-year-olds, they're pretty perceptive little folks, okay? They know when people don't care about them. Believe that, okay? They know if you feel some kind of way about them. Children know that. Little first graders, they don't have to be, 12, 13 years old. They're a first grader, yeah, they can have a sense if you don't really care for them. They know, okay? So if you can't reach them, you can't teach them. So the very day that they walk in your classroom, the first day, you should be building relationships with them, okay? The first day they lay eyes on you, you should be, as a teacher, as a leader, you start building relationships the first day you lay eyes on them. Because you want them to know you care about them, you want them to be successful, they can trust you, they can depend on you to be truthful and honest with them. You're going to tell them the truth, and if they live up to your expectations, they're going to get praise. If they don't, they're still going to get praise. But they're going to get some discipline too. How about that? You're going to praise them, and you're going to praise them, and you're going to praise them. Because when we do that, they'll fly for you. Okay? When they know my teacher loves me, when they see you somewhere at the football game, and they step on 5 people's feet running down the aisle in the stands to get to you, okay? You can teach them anything. They'll do anything you ask them to do, okay? That's why you should care. What's above the waterline, this is what we see in our initial observations of others. This is what we see in people when we're walking down the aisle at Walmart. Things we can kind of discern without, and we're not thinking about it. Again, this is unconscious. If we see a person, we can kind of have some kind of sense of the food they might like. We see a person of whatever ethnicity, whether it's ours or some of the other 6 or 8, or, kind of language, what kind of language they might speak. Literature, flags, the way they dress, holiday customs, things that we see when we're just walking down the aisle. They're coming this way, we're going that way. We're not thinking about it. We're not thinking, okay, what language does this person speak? Or where are they from? We're not thinking, it's unconscious. We're sizing people up as soon as we hit the door. Okay, as soon as we see them. We're not thinking about it. When we're at the ball game, when the first day you came here as teachers, you're sizing people up as you look at them. You're looking, you're walking, and it's, again, out of our conscience, out of our awareness, when we do that with children. Okay, same thing. Below the waterline are things that we don't see, that we don't know. Okay? And when we're making decisions, oftentimes We don't know about that. The importance of time, for example. There's some cultures, I was talking to somebody about the importance of time this morning, okay? About being on time. So a lot of us in our culture were taught that you don't be late. If it's 8 o'clock, you're there at 5 minutes till 8 or 10 minutes till 8. So you can be ready for 8 o'clock. There are some cultures where 8 o'clock means 8:20 or 8:30. Not intentionally just being late. That's their culture. Just, yeah, it's not a problem. We'll get it done. Okay, so you said 8 o'clock. Well, 8:20, that's okay. Yeah, we're taking our time. We're not going to stress. Teacher said 8 o'clock. If I get there at 8:30, not going to miss nothing. And this is mom and dad talking, okay? So things we don't see, attitudes toward age. These are things that we don't see. We don't know about other people. We're making decisions, but we don't know what there's some people in our culture used to revere our elders more than we do now. Okay? Didn't we? Yeah. We used to revere our elders. The Bible talks about elders and gray hair. We used to revere them. Not so much now. Okay? Not so much now. But there are a lot of cultures that do. There's notions of self. Gender roles. I went to shake a lady's hand one day at the hospital. Her husband was in the bed, and she was from a Middle Eastern country. She was dressed in Middle Eastern garments, and I went to shake her hand like I do with everybody, and she says, I can't shake your hand. You know, in my culture, married women don't shake other men's hands. I said, oh, okay, I'm sorry. My apologies. I wasn't aware of it. Things that we can't see. Learning styles, etiquette, notions of beauty, body language. You know, Americans we are expressive people, okay, for the most part, not everybody, but we're expressive. We talk with our hands and, you know, we're expressive, our facial expressions, and, you know, we get excited and, you know, we do all that stuff. There are some cultures that don't do that, right? You all have had students where they're not expressive. But, you know, it's nothing wrong with it. It's just different. Okay, well, we have to be aware of those things. But above the waterline is what we see initially. Below the waterline are things that we don't see. So unconscious biases have impacted some of the world's greatest organizations. Some of the greatest. And I don't mean impacted in a good way. Okay? Nike, if you read the news at all, Starbucks, Penn State, Yale University, UT Knoxville, every secondary school system in the world have been impacted. The entire entertainment industry impacted by unconscious biases, meaning leadership was making decisions or shaping policy out of their awareness, and in some way they allowed people to be mistreated or discriminated against. I'll give you an example. Michigan State. Anybody know what happened there? Anybody? Anybody know what happened there with the gymnastic team? The ladies that were gymnasts there. Now you got me? Okay, well, this is how unconscious bias can be hurtful. So the harmful culture that was going on there, it wasn't going on for like 1 year, was it? Wasn't going on for 3 years, was it? 15, 20 years. That cannot happen without a whole bunch of folks in high places knowing about it. Okay? That's a culture in the athletic department, not just gymnastics, but all over the athletics department, which means it would have been out of the athletics department and in administration, leadership. But that was the culture there. Okay, well, he's a doctor. That can't be true. Okay? because we have a perception about doctors, okay? That they are people of integrity and good folks and caring folks and want to see people healed. But this is an example of how unconscious biases can cause us to set policy and make decisions based on the biases we have we're not even thinking about. So, entire entertainment industry, news agencies, government, politics, military, law enforcement, big business, the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, okay? Rob Manfred is the commissioner. Anybody that follows baseball, Major League Baseball, he said something, I don't remember what it was now. But he said something, wasn't mean anybody any harm. He just said something. Stupid. All fired. Everybody's, no, you didn't say that. Unconscious bias is that this is the way we've always done it. I've always said these kind of things, so what's the big problem? Because what we've always said ain't what we can say now. See, I know that was bad English. I know ain't was bad English. But yeah, what we've always done, we can't do that today. And if we're a leader in any capacity, and again, teachers and leaders, we have to understand that there's things we got to change. We got to be different. So, World Tennis Federation, that does not mean something bad. I'm a preacher, so. World Tennis Federation. So, let me give you another example. Anybody here follow soccer, professional soccer? Any soccer players? Anybody have children that are soccer players? Anybody? Okay. So, anybody follow pro soccer? So, there's a bunch of men's professional soccer teams. There's women professional soccer teams. Who's the best team, the men or the women?
Women.
Who said that? Me. Oh Lord, that was the loudest response we've had. So was that a woman speaking? Let me think about it.
Yes.
The women are better, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They should pay more too.
Okay, that's where I was going. And you know what? It's not even close, is it?
No, it is.
Like the women's professional soccer team just is young people's off the chain. Was that right? Off the chart. Off the chain, okay. Off the chain. They're awesome. They're bad. I mean, just swagger bad. Okay? Right. When you see them coming, if you're a women's professional soccer team, when you see our young ladies coming, you just go, oh Lord, this is just going to be straight ugly. You know, I just hope they don't beat us by 10, okay? The men, when other professional soccer teams see the men coming, they go, oh Lord have mercy. If we don't get a win for one win this year, we're going to get that one today. Okay, that's our men. We love them, but they just ain't that good. Okay? They just ain't, but they still ours. We love them, right? We still love them, even though they're not that good. But who makes the most money? The men make the most, but the women are better. And not just better one year that they won, but over and over and over and over again. Clearly better. But the men make, I don't know, 5, 10 times more money, and the women are fighting like I don't know what for some kind of equality in pay. Are they getting it? No. So that's what unconscious biases can do. And that's why I said it's not just race. It's race, it's sex, it's gender, it's age, it's levels of education, it's class, one side of the tracks as opposed to another side about how people get treated. It's all of those things. So we are all guided by unconscious biases every day. Unconscious biases are not bad, folks. They're just human. When someone uses the word bias, the first thing we do is go, oh, it's uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to hear about race or culture or diversity. It's not bad. Everybody has unconscious biases. If you're human, if you're breathing, we all have it. They're not bad. They're human. Unless we refuse to look at them and claim the ones that are ours. And we all have them. I think leaders should be able to say, you know what? Wow. I do. So, and I know that's me, I want to be the best I can be because I'm leading people. I'm shaping these little folks. So let me just think about it. Okay, I got 25 students in my class. This is what they look like. Are my unconscious biases affecting the way I teach and lead and shape the discipline these students? Let me think about that. I just want you to think about it, okay? Because I know, again, I said all teachers are lifelong learners. All of you are, okay? They're only bad if we refuse to look at them and claim the ones that are ours. They're only bad if we refuse to make the changes that will help us learn, grow, do better, and be better. And I can't imagine that any teacher wouldn't want to say, okay, I need to learn some more about that. I need to think about that. Because I want to be the best teacher I can be. Every great leader needs the gift of honest self-reflection. Every leader. Any leader that does not have the gift of honest self-reflection. Okay, Ben, this is what you said. Does that make sense? Was that the right thing to say? Did you think about this? Did you think about that? If you're a leader, you should have the gift of honest self-reflection. In other words, I know me. And I still have room to get better and improve. And because I lead people, I lead them in the community, I lead them in church, I lead them at the medical center. I'm never going to be comfortable and feel like, okay, well, I got it now. I don't need to get better in any area, ever. Teachers the same way. Proverbs, this is Bible. Let the wise listen and add to their learning. Wise people want to listen, not listen to respond back to you. I want to listen to learn. Okay, you say, well, Ben, this is what I heard you say. I'm going to hear that. I'm going to listen to it. Even if what you say to me makes me uncomfortable, if it makes me uncomfortable, I'm going to listen even more. This is what we teach our clinical pastoral education students at the hospital. Because you're in the room all day, every day, with people who are in crisis, living and dying kind of crisis. You need to be somebody who reflects about what you say, what needs to be said, why you can get better. So wise people listen and add to their learning. So why all the fuss about unconscious bias? Because over 90% of the decisions and assumptions we make are informed by things outside of our awareness. And research has shown that teachers make hundreds of important decisions every day without even thinking about it. Think a room full of first graders. Make a decision all day, every day. Because when we're stressed or hurried, again, think teachers and administrators, we're often making important decisions unconsciously. Because unconscious bias affects who we sit beside, it affects who we hire, who we fire, who we give the best assignments to. Our unconscious biases affect who we favor, including students. Why am I hesitating there? It affects who we favor, including students, and it's outside of our awareness. Some students are this close to being A students the moment we lay eyes on them. Okay? They are. We like something about them. They remind me of my grandchild or my child. They remind me of this person. They look like me. They live in the same community as me. I like their parents. These are all things, we're not consciously thinking any of these things. They look like they're well-to-do. They speak well. They're dressed well. They look like they're educated. Before we know anything about them, we've already made decisions, either in their favor or not in favor. Unconscious biases affect the schools we attend, the doctors we choose. It affects who we see as friend or foe. Think about your 10 most trusted people that we were talking about. Hold on to that piece of paper and look at it. Unconscious biases affect who we see as friend or foe, adversary or ally. They affect our expectations for our students and even how and who we discipline. We can never be the best at what we do unless we learn to become more aware of things that inform our decision-making process. I don't want to make decisions all day, every day that are outside my awareness. You know, they're important decisions. When they're people decisions, now, if it's, where am I going to get a hamburger? It's no big deal. Well, maybe it is. If you like to eat like I do, I guess that is a big deal. Okay, but the things that inform our decision-making process, especially teachers, we want to think about that. So unconscious bias affects us all, and each of us will be on both ends of unconscious bias. We'll be on the giving end, and we'll be on the receiving end at one time or another. So, Reverend Lewis, what do you mean? I mean that the decisions we make, unconscious bias is going to affect the decisions we make regarding other people, students, maybe church, maybe in some other kind of business that you have also. Unconscious bias is also going to affect decisions that people make about us before they even get to know us. They're going to be walking down the aisle at Walmart. They're going to look at us. They're going to be sizing us up. They're not even going to be thinking about it. Okay? It's going to be totally outside of their awareness. They're going to be looking at us. They're going to be making decisions about us. And they don't even know us. Okay? It's going to be in Walmart. It might be in some other kind of situation, like right here. There might be other teachers that the day they saw you, the day they met you, or every day for that matter, that are making decisions about you, whether or not we're going to be any closer, whether or not you're a good teacher or a so-so teacher. And the things that are going to inform that decision-making process is outside of their awareness. You all do that with each other. We all do it, all day, every day. We all want to have a better awareness of the things that go into us making those decisions. Because we're going to be on both ends. So unconscious biases. How do you feel? And I'll take just another few minutes. How do you feel about, say, and I don't want anybody to answer. Yeah, teacher doesn't want you to raise your hand this time, students. You know what? I'll just tell you this. It always just amazes me. When I was a little fellow, first grade or second, kind of hard-headed, a little bit smart, but a little on the hard-headed side. So what I mean by that is sometimes teachers had to, call my parents. Benjamin is throwing spitballs. The kids throw spitballs nowadays. They don't even do that no more. So what do they do? I guess they send texts nowadays. Okay. But anyway, if my parents could see me standing in front of a room full of teachers, they would just go, oh my God. I think about that all the time, okay? It's a former hard-headed report. But I don't want you to answer. I don't want you to raise your hand. So how do you feel about people who don't vote? How do you feel about people? And we make decisions about all these people and hundreds more. How do you feel about people who are from the Middle East or Russia? How do you feel about people who live on the other side of town? Okay? How do you feel about people who don't participate in their children's education process? Okay? Child is not turning their homework. You send the parent an email, they don't answer. You send them another email. That doesn't happen in the y'all, does it? Okay, you just answer. They don't answer. They don't respond. The child is struggling. You send them an email, the third one. They don't get back to you. Okay? You text them. You call them. You leave a voicemail. They don't call you back. And the child is having a hard time, either with their work or with discipline, or they're coming to school and, you know, that you can tell there's something going on with the child, okay, that you need to talk to their parents about. So how do you feel about people who don't participate in their child's education process? How do you feel about people who wear tattoos? How do you feel about same-sex couples? How do you feel about people who attended Ivy League schools? How do you feel about people who speak foreign languages in your presence and you don't know what they're saying? How do you feel about it? How do you feel about people with purple hair, or green hair, or red hair, or pink hair? How do you feel about people who receive public assistance? People who are conservative or liberal? People who didn't finish school? Did anybody in here have on their top 10 list somebody who didn't finish high school? Did anybody have one person on their list who didn't finish high school? One person. Okay. So how do you feel about people who didn't finish school? How do you feel about people who are Republican or Democrat? How do you feel about men who wear their pants sagging? How do you feel about people who wear all black? You go in the store, somebody's got on all black. How do you feel? How do you feel about people who wear nose rings or lip rings or tongue rings? Or how do you feel about people who aren't religious, who aren't people of faith? How do you feel about people who carry weapons in public or ex-offenders? How do you feel about women in leadership? How do you feel about a Gen Z, a 20-year-old as your boss? How do you feel about law enforcement officers, baby boomers or millennials? All these kind of things go in our decision-making process. Our unconscious biases, and we make decisions about people like that and many more every day. So these are the types of unconscious bias. There's perception bias. That's the tendency to form stereotypes about certain group of people that affect our ability to be impartial. In other words, if you come from this group, you're already going to be in my minus column before I even know it. Perception bias. In other words, we perceive people to be whatever, and we make decisions about it. Okay? That's perception bias. Like, this group of people are, and you fill in the blanks. Okay? Before we even know it. Confirmation bias, our tendency to look for information about individuals or groups that confirm what we already think about them or feel about them, whether it be positive or negative. Okay, so we're looking for things. If we have a negative opinion of a group, or culture, or ethnicity, so we're looking for things that will confirm that. If we have a positive feeling, okay, of groups or cultures or people, we look for things that confirm that. More types of unconscious bias. Wildebeest effect, or groupthink. Going along with it, agreeing with the majority, even when we feel we should. So you're in a classroom, okay? All of you all together, you're making decisions. 15 people said, we should do this. And you don't agree with it. But you won't say anything. You keep it to yourself. Because you don't want to be different. Think on the schoolyard, playground yard. All the boys in the first grade go in one corner, right? Playground. All the girls go in another corner, playground, right? The boys go over in the corner of the playground in the area where the girls are playing? No. Boys are going to stay with the boys. Girls are going to stay with the girls, okay? Go along with the majority even when you feel you should. Sometimes it causes people to compromise your personal opinions or beliefs, to get along, to not make waves, to fit in. Think the playground, think the boardroom, think the classroom. The halo effect, our tendency to think that everything about somebody is good or right because we admire or we like. All of those major organizations and about 100 more that I didn't have on there, so many of them are going through a crisis right now because of the halo effect. A doctor never do anything wrong. The president of a college, there's no way he do anything wrong. A school teacher, never happened, won't do anything wrong. A coach, they're all mean and women of the day. Never do anything they shouldn't do. Okay, so halo effect, we admire people. We think well of them. We think highly of them. So we assume certain things about them, and sometimes we see behavior to the contrary, but we still say, no, I didn't see that. That's not true. That couldn't have happened. Okay? Best practices. When you're stressed or hurried, press pause. When you're making important decisions about your children, the tough decisions, slow down a little bit. Press pause. Think about it. Remember that even the best and wisest of us can only see from where we are. Again, unconscious biases are not bad. They're just human. We all have them. Interacting with people who are not like us can help us counter our unconscious biases. And like us can mean about 150 different things. Maybe if I'm Baptist, I interact with some people who are Catholic or Episcopalian or whatever. But those are the things that can help us counter our unconscious bias, can help us grow. And we often have to be intentional about it. Most of the time, we have to do it intentionally. Because if we're not thinking about it, if it's unconscious, we're going to gravitate toward people who are like us without even thinking about it all. We're going to walk in the classroom, or we're going to walk in here, and we're going to gravitate toward people who are like us. We do it everywhere. Think about your top 10 lists, okay? We do it without even thinking about it. Interacting with people who are not like us can help counter that. Speak up when you see unconscious bias or you are the recipient of it. And I told you earlier that all of us are going to be on both ends. We're going to be on the giving end of that. We're going to be on the receiving end of that. I had a teacher, I don't even know what school she's with. She's in Herron City school system. And I was at a basketball game, leaving out. She ran up to me. She said, "Hey, I know who you are." I said, "Okay." You know, I'm hoping this is going to be something good. And she says, "Yeah, I just want to tell you something." Never did tell me who she was. But we were at a Herron City school, intermediate school basketball game. So I assumed she's a teacher. She says, "Yeah, something happened the other day at school." And I said, "Oh, that's unconscious bias." I said, "Okay." So if just 2 or 3 of you think about it, if you make a better decision in some arena, whether, especially here, but in some other area of your life, okay? Speak up when you see it, or if you are the recipient of it, and you're going to be both. You're going to see it, you're going to be the one doing it, at some point you're going to be the recipient of it. Create environments in your classrooms where the people you lead and teach are comfortable speaking up. Pay attention to that. You want to make sure that all your children feel comfortable speaking up, no matter if they stutter, if they are shy, and especially if they don't speak up. If there's one that raises, or 3 that always raise their hand. Create environments where all of your children are comfortable speaking up, coming, talking to you, sharing with you if they're struggling or whatever, joys and sorrows. Holding on to tradition is not always a good thing, because every tradition was originally a new idea. Okay? Sometimes we need to get rid of tradition. Okay? As leaders, sometimes we need to say, "Yeah, we've been doing this for 15 years. Need to change it. Need to do something different." Because every tradition was originally a new idea. When you cling to what's already in place, you resist change, even change for the better. Read, read, read. Teachers make the world go round. I said earlier that no matter what career a person is in, famous, judge, college president, professor, engineer, employee at Alcoa, Denso, law enforcement officer, teacher, they all have to come by you all, don't they? No matter what they do, teachers make the world go round. So this is your homework assignment. You can take a picture of it, screenshot. I want you to read those 3 articles. They're all brief. You know, I was going to bring you like 10 articles to read, and I said, wait a minute, Dan. And you going to take and give the teachers a whole bunch of stuff to read, like they don't already have enough stuff to read. Don't do it, Ben. So those 3 articles, brief articles, I just want you to read them, see what you think. There's my contact information at the bottom. You can always email me a question or concern you might have, or something you're thinking about and you want to know what I think about it. Dr. Robert, at this other one, I'll go through about 20 minutes, okay? Because I know at 10:15, got some other things. I want you to read those all brief articles, see what you think about it. And again, my contact information. So teacher bias, the elephant in the classroom, unconscious bias in schools, topics of impact, leader in me. How do I know if my biases affect my teacher?
And Reverend Lewis?
Yes.
Yes, Mrs. Vance sent you all an email yesterday, so you have the PowerPoint in your email, all this information you have in it. Again, look for the email from Mrs. Vance, okay?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's yours. Yep. And again, if you have a question or concern about something and just want to see what I think about it, get my opinion, just email. That's PastorBenLewis1@gmail.com. Please do. 5-minute break?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's take a 5-minute break. They don't do that at my church. When I preach, yeah, if I could just get 2 claps, I'd be.
Yes.
Son of baby. Martha texted me something. So embarrassed because she said, "Were you just talking? Are you kidding? I can't be your friend."
Wrong generation.
No, she's 50 also.
She's 52. Okay.
Have you,
Oh, no, I was going to tell you. I'm sorry. I'm coming in. I'm sorry, I'm a testy mother. About my son.
You're fine.
She wanted to be the intern.
And I just,
That's okay.
I just haven't.
No, that wasn't it.
No, really, you're fine. And I just haven't really.
No, you've been everywhere. I see you all over the place. I'm sorry that it was inappropriate.
And I'll tell you what's going on. We don't have any money here. Okay, but, if he wants to do it,
So it's in.
I will be back. In fact, I was thinking about that this morning, driving down here.
I just did.
And I didn't even know that you worked here.
Oh, that's fine.
I was just thinking it was one of the things that I'm not going to do.
And you know, I realized I put the microphone down, just talking about it.
No, right now we got.
Yeah, I know they do.
So,
But that's okay. I just wanted to, so you know who in the world is saying
so
that?
you're fine. And I don't mind that bit. Okay, that's good. It's just that, like I said, right now we are.
They are enjoying it. No, I understand.
Yeah, well, I heard you laugh.
And if I could, just might be ready to finish it. You can go back and take one picture. Class. Yeah, I just like to see.
What did you say the person's name was?
That's what I'm gonna do. I got some pictures for you.
He is still from
I think I got the picture when I was up there. And all the administrators, I got a picture of that on my social media. You know, people need to see this. You know, there are people gonna say, I don't need to do that.
So if I look up this
Director, schools, and all
if you unplug it, it just goes dead.
course, I'm a teacher, membership. Okay,
I've used that other one.
Yeah. And it's still all blurry.
6 or 8. Yeah, like, at least some places, I'll go to the schools, I'll be doing each school, high school, level, intermediate, elementary. But administrators first, so maybe 5 years, I'll be, today is Thursday, I'll be CrossFit, Miracle, I'll be tomorrow, 8 or 10, sometimes more, waiting for alcohol police and liquor police, just kind of navigating our way and trying to see what we're going to do about that.
Yeah, they were fighting a minute ago.
A bunch of them. The name on it?
Well, I don't have it.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have it. The only thing I got was that first.
Okay, I've got it on there. You got it? It's, inclusive leadership is what it's made.
I'm trying to finish all that testing after the day. It's 3 hours long. And I don't have time, and then I still have to. And then I have to see
Well, look at the email you sent me. Yeah, but they're the same link. When you look at it,
And if the flash drive is easier, I got that. So
they both are the same.
Yeah.
Same exact link.
it's inclusive leadership, that's the title of it.
I'm going to need the flash drive.
Yeah, okay. Block County Schools Inclusive Leadership. Yeah.
I'm just trying to see if I got another USB drive. Yes.
Specifically, Block County Schools. That's probably it.
I'm going to grab both of them.
Okay.
Out of here.
If you let me take a peek at them.
Okay, you want to do that before?
Thank you, Dr. Dr. Robinette, it's good when you, I post it on my social media page. It's good when you all do that too, Block County Schools. People see it. Because, okay, wow, I need to listen to that. Oh, that's important. That's something I need to be thinking about. Yes, sir. You're welcome. Yes, sir. I will always.
It's for us a year training, with teachers. There's so much need. Something like this. it's just out.
And it is, like I said earlier, it's uncomfortable talking. It's uncomfortable for everybody. But teachers are built for uncomfortable situations. You deal with it every day. You take a person, a little person, or even a big person who doesn't know anything about the subject. And every day, you give them some little, then listen, some fallback, teach it a different way. Give them some more. And next thing you know, they're getting ready to leave that grade, and you've taken them from way back here to way over here. And stop, start, just try this approach, stop, start. Give it to them a different way, work with them. Well, diversity and race about the same way. You know, take baby steps. Guys, we want to talk about, let's talk, okay? And kids know it. They hear it, they see it, they're putting it on wherever, social media. Okay, we're going to talk about race. The racial issues that are going on in the country. Let's have a 15, 20 minute. So what do y'all know? What do you hear? What do you see? And let them tell you what they are. A lot of times we'll be surprised if third grader knows as much as they know. Sometimes they know more than we do. Sure they do. They know. I've got a bunch of kids that they'll be talking about, did you know something? I didn't know that. I think, well, how'd you find that? Thank you. Did you get it? Yeah. Yes, in this day and time, age of social media, Google, and all the misinformation. Right, a lot of it is, and so and that's important too. You know, I'll tell you this. I was looking at my Facebook page. Somebody had a screenshot of a person's cell phone. It was a student in one of the school systems. I won't say which one, but more than old enough to know that. So obviously these two students were having a conversation about this. And the screenshot I saw said, and like I said, now I happen to know, I don't know who they were having about, but I know this young man. Okay? And he said, I'm not saying I'm racist, but we were here first. He's a white child, but we were here first. And everybody else go back to, and then the country be better. And I just thought, okay, well, what do you mean you were here first? What do you mean? So I'm saying he was, again, way not like this old or like this old. And he said, well we were here first. And I was thinking, well, what class did you hear that one in? So right, a lot of times our children, they don't know. Well, we send them out in the world, and we don't. And we don't want to do that. Yeah. Okay. First. Yeah. Okay. What grade was that? Dr. Robinette, I'm going to go through this in about 15 minutes. And especially since they all have it in there.
Okay, guys, we can pull it back together. And if you will, and you have a device, please access that email from Mrs. Vance. Remember, Lewis, the title of this PowerPoint is
Power of Inclusive Leadership.
Power of Inclusive Leadership. I'm sorry, Kim Antonio.
And that wasn't on the email.
Okay.
That wasn't on the email.
It's not? Thanks, John. And this was not on the email.
I'll send it to you.
Okay, we'll get it out there.
Okay, and if you don't have it or can't access it, just let me know and I'll resend it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, folks, I'm going to be a little briefer this time. I was a little longer that time. Forgive me. I know what y'all think about Baptist preachers. That was a joke. Baptist preacher, okay. I know this is going to be long. So let's talk about the power of inclusive leadership, what it means. And I'll just tell you, my own definition is a person who can lead anybody. It doesn't matter what your age range is, what generation you come. I don't care if you're in your 80s or if you're in your teens. To me, I mean me personally right now, it doesn't matter. I think that's what an inclusive leader is. I'm going to build a relationship with you, whoever you are. If you're 12 or if you're 82. Okay? If you have degrees from higher level degrees, master's, PhDs, if you didn't finish high school. Doesn't matter to me. Because I'm going to build a relationship with you. We're going to find some common ground. Okay? It doesn't matter what your race or ethnicity or your age or what part of Blount County you live in. Doesn't matter what your parents thought or taught you. Okay, yeah, that's going to affect our relationship, but we're going to find some common ground. You know, we are human beings before we are anything else. And it's in our nature to build relationships. That's what we want to do. That's what we long to do. That's important to all of us. And when we can find common ground, when people learn that, you know, I respect you, I value what you have to say. I'm listening, not listening to respond back to what you say, but listening so I can hear what you're saying, understand what you're saying. Okay? We have the capacity, the ability to lead anybody. You all do. And certainly every one of the children are different. Bless you. Every one of the children are different. They're all different. Believe me, every one of them. Some like soccer, some hate it. Some like football, some like to read, some hate to see a book, okay? Some are whatever religion you want, yeah. Some come from this kind of family background, some come, they're all different. Inclusive leadership. And I believe that's, the power of that is that you can lead anybody, okay? So what is inclusive leadership? An inclusive leader understands the many dimensions of diversity. Okay, again, I just said that. All of your children are different. All of you all are different. So not only are you building relationships with children, but also your colleagues. Understands the many dimensions of diversity, and if you look on that other PowerPoint and the one I just got through talking about, there are many dimensions on there. Generational, physical abilities, race, sex, it's on your handout. Thinking styles, that's diversity. We think differently. We take in information differently. We all do. Some do it one way, some do it another. Religion, family structure, sexual preference, culture, ethnic, and needs accordingly. So in order for you to do that, we've got to build a relationship first. You can't lead who you don't know. Make sense? You got to build a relationship with children. An inclusive leader is unafraid of change and new ideas. Okay? Not afraid of change. Dr. Robinette says, hey, folks, and did I hear him talking about this morning something's going to be different or something's different, or, you know, and not even talking about the pandemic. But administrators just like change stuff, don't they? Don't they? Okay, you can say, yeah, he's sitting here.
Assistant principals do.
Assistant, okay, my bad. That's who I was talking about.
Especially new ones.
Yeah, that's who it was. We were talking about, and Dr. Robert says, yeah, he's assistant principal and he likes to change things. Yeah, new people like to come in and just see stuff and okay, we can do this better than this and this and this. Sometimes they're right, okay? But oftentimes because they're new, we go, see, no, just got here. Now I know none of y'all said that. Nobody said he just got here. Or, what does he know? Or, okay, thank you, man. That's confirmation. But we do. We're human. Okay, and when somebody comes, Reverend Lewis, and tells us, okay, this is how we think, and this is how we make decisions, you know, it's a human tendency to go, wait a minute, you don't even know me. I do. You're human. You're like me. And that's what we do. Okay? Inclusive leader, not afraid of change and new ideas. An inclusive leader can lead and follow. Teach and learn. You want to lead? I'll follow you. Want me to lead? I'll do that. You follow. That's what inclusive leaders can do. Inclusive leaders develop students before giving up on students. So which one do you want to give up on? None. Not a single one. Inclusive leadership. It's a little chart. They are authentic and open. You know who you're talking to. The children know you. They know you're authentic, you're open, they know who you are, they know about how far they can go, and if they don't know, you'll let them know. Okay, they'll come to know that. Okay, they're authentic and open, values perspectives. You know, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old can have some awesome insight, and you all know that even better than I do. So you value what they have to say. Communicates actively. Okay, you got 25 students in the class. All of them are not going to take in information the same way. Okay, allows for differences. I'm not going to read all of those. Focuses on results, leverages diversity and talent. What does it take to be a great teacher in the Blount County schools? Y'all know any of those teachers? Do you? Any of them in here? Huh? Okay. So what does it take to be a great teacher in Blount County schools? What does it take? I want you to think about it. Because each school, each medical center, each church has a culture. Okay? Has a culture. What does it take to be a great teacher here? So what is inclusive leadership? Inclusive leaders create cultures and classrooms where team members and students can be their authentic selves and thrive. Sir, creates cultures, inclusive leaders, where all of your team members, all of your teachers can be their authentic selves and thrive. In other words, you don't have to hide who you are. Who you are is who you are. And if I'm your leader, I value that. You're going to hear in some way, and you're going to see, which is more important, I'm a model for you that whoever you are, I value that. Because whoever you are, you're going to bring a perspective to the table that I can't bring. Is that right? That's what an inclusive leader does, is that whoever you are, I'm going to make sure you know that whoever you are, however we're different, I value that. Because I'm going to learn something from you. You'll learn something from me. I'm going to learn something from you. So let me ask you a question real quick, not on the PowerPoint. So if we have a school problem to solve, big problem, and I'm on the team, and you're on the team, and you're on the team, and you, and you, and you. So is the team weaker or stronger? Because I'm different from you, you're different than her, you're different than her, you're different than her, you're different than him, and you're different than her. So is the team weaker or stronger because all of us are different? Weaker or stronger? Stronger. Right. So diversity makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, that's my point. It's stronger because you're going to bring something to the table that I can't bring because we're different. You're going to bring something to the issue, the problem we're trying to solve, that she can't bring because y'all are different. You're going to bring something that he won't bring. He's going to bring something that she won't bring. We're all going to bring ourselves and our own perspectives, our ideas, our ways of thinking, problem solving. We're going to all bring our differences to the table. And trust me, the team is going to be strong. We're going to be better at solving problems than we would be if all of us thought alike. Make sense? Yeah, if we all thought the same way. What is inclusive leadership in Blount County schools? Anybody know her? Huh?
Yes.
Okay, where she teach?
Friendsville.
Friendsville Elementary. Okay. So what is inclusive leadership? What does she have? What does she do? What is it about her? What does she bring to, what are her gifts at teaching? And it can't just be teaching the subject matter. Okay, you can get anybody to do that, right? You know, if it's a subject matter, you can get somebody, okay, this is a subject matter, teach it. She's got to be more than that. I've never met her. I just know she's a leader, okay? So you've got to be more, in order to get students to engage with you, to want to see, I want to come see my teacher. You know, I want to come to her class. I want to come to her class. When she's talking, I'm listening. I'm learning. Because she makes me feel like, and fill in the blanks. Okay? What is an inclusive leader in Blount County Schools? Examine and change systemic barriers. That's what inclusive leaders do. This is the way we've always done it. Is not compatible with success in our new, diverse global community. Okay? These words right here. This is the way we've always done it. If anyone reads the news, if we're paying attention on any level, if we hate the news and we don't like to hear it, we still have to understand that as leaders, as teachers, as the shapers and molders of the future of this community and this country, this is the way we've always done it. It's not compatible with success. Okay? So I can think of, just off the top of my head, 20 or 30 of the largest, most successful organizations in the country that are making change right now. Because this is the way we've always done it, is not the way it's going to be done in the future. So examine and change systemic barriers. Okay, so if there's anything going on that is a barrier to you teaching and reaching your students and being the teacher that you're capable of being, examine it, look at it, claim it, accept it, and change it. Are your policies and procedures with the students inclusive, or are they outdated? And if not, what are you doing about it? So think about it in your classroom, because we all are comfortable with what we're comfortable with, okay? All of us, we're human beings. We like to be comfortable. We don't like being uncomfortable. We don't like that, okay? But are the policies and procedures that you have in your classrooms, that you set up and the way you do, are they inclusive? Do all of your students, when I say inclusive, I mean, does each student feel like they are accepted and accepted? When I say inclusive, sir, I mean, does each teacher, all of your teachers, all over the school, all of your team members, no matter what you do, teacher, dietary, custodial, whatever the position is, does every member of this school, every team member, feel like they are valued, that what they have to say is important, that they can always come to you, no matter what the issue is, that what you have to say is meaningful? Okay? You want to build your team like that, your leadership team, and your classroom. Create awareness and dialogue, leadership meetings, transparency. In other words, a culture where there's secrets. There's a saying, I don't know where I read it, but I use it all the time. I guess I should Google it and see who said it. Secrets kill relationships. Okay? Secrets kill relationships. So if you're a teacher and you have secrets with some students that the other students don't know, that's a recipe for disaster. If you're a leader, if you're an administrator, you've got secrets with some groups, but the other groups don't know, that's a recipe for a dysfunctional team, okay? So transparency, leadership meetings, open door policy. Your students should know that they can come to you about anything, and you'll hear them. You'll listen to them. And if it's something you need to do about it, you'll do it. If it's not, you'll tell them, okay, well, sweetheart, that's, okay, I hear you, but yeah, we're not gonna do that. Seek the opinions of the teams and students you lead, okay? So that means we can learn from first graders. I got a few in my family. They teach me something every day, I promise you, okay? Determine best practices. Examples of an inclusive culture in education. The ability to reach and teach students where they are, including goals, discipline, and liberally using the power of micro-affirmations. Every one of your students should feel like they're pretty awesome. Why? Because you tell them they are. Okay? You tell them they are. You praise them. Micro-affirmations, little things that make them feel like, I can do this. I can get an A in that class. The ability to collaborate with and learn from diverse colleagues, including our students, understand that no one has a monopoly on great ideas. No one. When we close our minds and say, okay, well, I can't learn anything from, then we close off the sources where we might get great ideas. Guard against a mindset of low expectations. In other words, don't think that because this student is fill in the blanks, they can learn. They can't make an A. They can't get this material. So guard against that. When the music changes, it's an African proverb. When the music changes, so should the dance. Okay? Which means that the way I've always done things, I have to I'll give you an example. So I've been pastoring for a while, a number of years, north of 20. And in March, everything shut down because of the pandemic, right? I don't care who you are. I don't care what you did. Yeah, nobody was immune from the effects of this pandemic. Well, I've been pastoring in the Black Baptist churches for more than 20 years. And this is the way we've always done it. I think it might have been in a hymn book somewhere. Yeah, Pastor, this is the way we've always done it. I said, well, that's good. But let's try something new. Okay, but this is the way we've always done it. Well, when the pandemic, we had to shut everything down, including churches. We couldn't do it the way we've always done it anymore, could we? We couldn't do anything the way we've always done it. Well, Pastor, if we can't come to church, what are we going to do? If we can't worship in the church, what are we going to do? I said, well, let's see about going on Facebook. What? Let's try that. What? Yeah, let's try that. Let's do that. Now we've got over 1,000 people interacting with it. I'm on Facebook and social media, but I'm not fluent at it. Let me just say that. In other words, I'll mess up something on social media so fast, my head swim. So you don't want to give me too much. I'm just like, I'm in the K class, kindergarten, and social media and IT stuff. And my friend John, every time I go to one of y'all schools and I sing, I just say, oh, thank you, Lord. He's here. He's here. He's allowed to get something from me for Christmas. Because you don't know how many times he's helped me. But when the music changes, at the church, for example, the music changed. We had to shut everything down. So the dance had to change. So for you all, same way, the music has changed. How can you still continue to be the awesome teachers that you are? Because the music has changed. And now change the dance. Still give what they need, but do it in new and even better ways. There's a quote. But that's what great teachers do. Great teachers transform lives. They help make dreams possible. Dr. Grigg. Restorative practices. Give me about 3 more minutes. Give students a voice and include them in the process. Create inclusive environments. Do all of your students feel like they belong? I think I've said that like 5 times. Do all of them feel like they can come to you with anything? That's what they need to feel. Okay? If you're a leader, if you're administrator, all of your teachers, all the custodians, all of the dietary people, all support staff, you feel like I can go to Dr. Robinette and I can talk to him about anything. And you never know what we might learn to do better and be better from a first grader. Do with your students restorative practices. Create environments where they all feel like they belong. Do with your students, not to them. If there's some kind of discipline. Build relationships from day one. I've said that like 20 times. The first day you lay eyes on them, you need to be building relationships with them. Okay? Connecting with them. Establish restorative practices. Include the offender. And so, in other words, if children have done something wrong, include them in the process, in the restoration process. Include them and the offended in the restoration process. That's restorative practice. Okay? Remember, the goal should always be restorative and not punitive. In other words, when children mess up, and they're all going to do that, when they do wrong, when they don't turn in stuff, when they cut up, when they get disrespectful, all children are going to, the majority of them, are going to do that at some point. Okay? But the goal should always be restorative. Okay? To me, it's a word of faith. It's my call. I feel like my mission as a spiritual leader. Never punitive. You don't want to hurt the students. So, for example, I don't know how many prisons there are in the country, jails and all that, but there's a bunch of them. So people go to jail. We've got hundreds of thousands of people in correctional institutions all over the country. So the majority of them, when they go and they do their sentence and they come out, do they stay out? Who said that? Right. And you're right. See, you get A. You get A, yes ma'am. No, they don't. They go back in there. So, punitive, is it working? No. And it doesn't really work with our children either. So the goal should always be to restore the children. You know, hold them accountable for whatever they do, because that's life. Okay, you can't raise responsible adults without them understanding that I got to be accountable for what I do. The things I do, I'm either going to be, I'm going to get a blessing, or I got to deal with the consequences. Okay? But the goal is always to restore them, to bring them back from where they are, what they did or didn't do, to where you want them to be. So, when everybody plays, they all win. You want to include everybody in what you're doing, and they want to know that. I think that's it. God bless y'all. Folks, I went a little over. You know how Baptist preachers are. I can't apologize. We are who we are. But thank you all. And again, my phone number, my email address is on the PowerPoint that you all have. And I have teachers from all over Blount County schools who email me all the time, who ask questions. Reverend Lewis, I was thinking about this. What do you think about it? Or this happened. Give me some ideas or some thoughts about it. Or how can I do this? How can I broach this conversation with my children? How can I talk to my first graders or my third graders about the subject of race? I'm uncomfortable with it. So give me some ideas. And one thing I do want you to do, students, is read. You guys are creative by your very nature, right? Teachers have to be creative. So I gave you a couple of little brief articles to read, 4 or 5 minute reads. But how about you find your own? You come up with your own ideas. You all are created by the very nature of what you do and who you are. Okay? I'm going to stop there. God bless you all.
Thank you.